Howdy, partners. It's me, your boy, Nick King. How's everyone feeling today? I hope you're feeling good. I'm feeling so-so. I'm feeling okay. I had a couple bad dreams last night, but that's okay. It happens. You know, it happens to the best of us and the worst of us. Anyway, this is a very low concept video. I kind of just felt like telling a story today. I know a lot of YouTubers do like a story time type of video. I don't really consider myself a YouTuber in the same way that Lil Yachty doesn't consider himself a rapper because I'm reinventing the game. That's not true. I just don't like that word, I guess. Anyways, the story that I want to tell today is the story of how I learned to ride a bicycle. See, where I grew up in the mountains of northern New Hampshire, you couldn't just bike to a friend's house or bike down to the local 7-Eleven, so I never really had much incentive to learn how to ride a bike. That was until I arrived for my first day of summer camp. The camp I went to is called Camp Birch Hill. It's in a town called New Durham, New Hampshire. It is the most beautiful place on the face of the planet. In my first day there as a camper, I was immediately greeted by a young man named Alec. We were in the same cabin and he took me in and introduced me to everyone, immediately showed me around camp. And having him on my team made it so easy to integrate into this culture of people who had known each other for years. One thing that all of my cabin mates liked to do every day was go for a bike ride together. During rest hour period, instead of resting like the rambunctious teens we were, all the other guys in my cabin would take their bikes and ride laps around camp together, and they'd chat, they'd make jokes, you know, teenage boy stuff. And obviously I wanted to join in on the fun, but I couldn't because I didn't know how to ride a bike. So every day during rest hour, I would hang back and read a book or do a drawing or something by myself in the cabin. And eventually my counselor noticed this and he kind of pulled me aside and he asked me, you know, Nick, is everything okay? Are you having problems with the people in your cabin? I noticed that you're not hanging out with everyone when they go for a bike ride on rest hour. So I told my counselor, well, you know, I can't go for a bike ride with them because I don't have a bike. So, you know, I'm just gonna have to hang out here. It's no big deal. I'm getting along fine. And my counselor said, well, you know, we have plenty of extra bikes here that belong to the camp. You can just go borrow one of those and then you can go riding with everyone. It's no big deal. And I said, yeah, you know, I didn't bring a bike because I don't actually know how to ride one. If I'm being honest, I never really learned. My counselor said, oh, okay, well, I have a solution. You might not like it, but there is a bike in the shack that is about your size and it has training wheels. So if you wanted to learn how to ride a bike, you could just borrow that one. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to, you know, be that kid, the 14-year-old kid with the training wheels at summer camp. I don't know if I'm ready to handle that. And he said, look, you said it yourself. You're getting along great with everyone. You know, Alec is in this cabin, so he's going to be friendly to you no matter what. Why don't you just go grab that bike with the training wheels, meet up with the rest of the kids in your cabin. I'm sure everything will be fine. So I actually listened to his advice. I went and I got the bike, took it out, and it was pretty easy riding a bike with training wheels. You know, I was able to figure that out pretty quickly. So I caught up with all the kids in my cabin. You know, so as soon as I got there, it was just like my counselor said. Alec right away was just like, oh, yes! Nick, you found a bike. That's awesome. I'm so stoked you get to ride with us now. And nobody even had time to say anything about the training wheels. Everyone was just like, oh yeah, cool. Nick King gets to ride bikes with us now. That's awesome. And it was awesome. I went bike riding with them every day and had a blast. And none of them gave me any guff about it. But there was one kid named Alex. I know it's a little bit confusing. There's an Alec and there's an Alex, but that's the way it is. Alex, he was in cabin 6. And whenever I came back from my bike ride, he always had a comment to say, you know, about how I was riding with training wheels and, you know, I'm a 14-year-old kid. I shouldn't need training wheels. And he made fun of me a little bit and it bugged me. You know, a little bit it bugged me. But whatever, I kept riding every day and it was having a blast. And it went like that for almost a week. Until finally there was one day where Alex said something, and of course I don't even remember what it was now, but he said something that it got to me. For whatever reason, the thing that he said on that day really got to me. So when I got back from my bike ride, I walked the bike back to the sports shed, I hung up the helmet, put the bike away and I turned around to leave. But as I was walking out of the sports shed, I heard a voice call out my name. I heard Nick King. And I was like, great, who's going to make fun of me now for riding with training wheels? So I stopped and I listened for a second. I looked around, couldn't see anyone. So I kept walking and then I heard it again. Nick King, wait. I stopped in my tracks and I could hear that the voice was coming from inside the sports shed. I was like, who is it? Who's hiding in here? This isn't funny. And then I heard it again. Nick King, it's me. And I looked and the handlebars of the bike turned as if they were looking at me. And I said, this is crazy. I'm hearing things, I'm hallucinating. And the bike said, no, Nick, you're not hallucinating. It's me. It's me, Bike the Bike, your friend. And I was like, wait a second. Bike the Bike? And he said, that's right, I'm Bike the Bike. I'm a magic talking bike. And I was like, you're a magic talking bike. You've been a magic talking bike this whole time and you're just speaking up now? And he said, yeah, I know, I should have said something earlier. I'm really sorry, Nick, but I didn't want to freak you out. I figured I would probably freak you out. And I was having so much fun riding around with you. I didn't want to scare you away. And I said, well, Bike, you know what? You didn't scare me away, but got some bad news for you, bud. I'm not going to be riding you around anymore. I can't do it. And he said, well, Nick, why not? And I said, well, it's Alex. Every day he makes fun of me for riding around on you, and it's not your fault. It's just, because you have training wheels. And Bike said, well, that's an easy fix. There's a wrench on the wall over there. I don't need these training wheels. Why don't you just take them off? And I said, I can't just take them off. I don't know how to ride a bike. Remember, that's why I picked you in the first place. And Bike said, don't be ridiculous. Dude, you can ride a bike. You've been doing it. I'm sure if you take those training wheels off, you'll have no problem. Plus, remember, I'm a magic bike. I can help you out a little bit. And I was like, do you really think that's going to work? And Bike said, I really think that's going to work. So I went over to the wall and I got the wrench and got to work on taking the training wheels off. Pulled Bike out of the sports shed, got on the seat. I put my hands on the handlebars and I was like, are you sure about this, Bike? And he said, oh, I'm sure. Why don't you get those feet on those pedals and let's take off. And we did. I just started pedaling and it was just like he said. It was like I didn't need the training wheels anymore. I really did learn how to ride a bike. I could do it and I was doing great. So I biked back up to the cabin, and when all of my cabin mates saw me coming up the hill with no training wheels on my bike, they all started losing it. They were all cheering me on, and I could see Alex, and he was just scowling, and I was like, you can't say nothing. You can't tell me nothing, Alex. So I got up to my cabin, and all my cabin mates were giving me high fives and pats on the back, and the next day we went out for our daily bike ride, and man, it was absolute pure freedom and joy. I had the wind in my hair, was hanging out with my buds, and then, even after the daily bike ride, I would go for a secret bike ride afterwards, just me and Bike. And he and I would talk about everything. We would talk about what I had for breakfast. We would talk about which girls I had a crush on. We would talk about music and movies, and we became best friends, Bike and I. Every day we got closer and closer, but there was a problem too. Every day it felt like Bike was just a little bit harder to ride. Not like I was losing my balance or anything, just physically, for me it was difficult. And at first I thought I was just getting tired, I wasn't used to biking every day, I thought my legs were getting worn out. But as the days went on, I realized it wasn't a problem with me, something was going on with Bike. So one day I was out with the rest of the cabin, we were biking across the lower soccer field, and all of a sudden, Bike's pedals just seized up altogether. It was no matter what, I couldn't push hard enough to get him going again. And I told everyone to go on without me and that I just had to fix something with the bike and I would catch up with them. So I put his kickstand down and I knelt down on the ground next to him and I said, Bike, I know something is wrong. Okay, you have been getting harder and harder to pedal every day and I'm starting to get worried, honestly. I need you to tell me what's going on. And he said, no, Nick, nothing's wrong. I'm fine, let's just, maybe we can just walk back to the cabin today, or maybe you could carry me could you carry me, buddy? I said, no, bike, I'm not going to carry you. We're not going to walk back up to the cabin. You're going to tell me what's going on so I can fix it. Right? Like, you're my best friend. I have to do something. I know there's something I can do. You just got to tell me what's going on. And Bike was like, no, I can't. I can't tell you, Nick. I'm sorry. I don't want you to be mad. And I said, I'm not going to be mad. Okay? The only thing that's going to make me mad is if something is wrong with you and you don't let me help. So let me help. And he said, okay. It's just that, you know, I didn't want to say anything. You were so proud and everyone was so proud of you and we were having so much fun, but I don't know. And I said, Bike, come on, man. Spit it out, buddy. And he said, man, I'm really sorry, Nick. I really didn't want to tell you this, but, you know, it's just that, you know, ever since you took my training wheels off, I've just been too tired. Well, that's it. Thank you all so much for listening to the story about how I, your boy, Nick King, learned how to ride a bicycle. So what was your experience like learning how to ride a bike? You take a spill? You take a big old spill? Let me know about it down in the comments section. Do you have a dissimilar experience to mine? As much as I don't want to hear about it, you can write a comment about that too. Please, God, I beg of you, give this video a like, give this channel a subscribe. Just really crash full speed head on into that subscribe button, huh? I know that you want to give this a thumbs down. I know you do. I know there's nothing I can say to convince you otherwise. I know I've done a bad thing. Anyways, check back on this channel. I update it with some regularity with new content, and I would really appreciate it if you checked it out. Because I think you'll like it if you really look inside your heart. Please enjoy the rest of your waking time. Please remember to drink lots of water. This has been your boy Nick King signing off. Love for friends. And I don't know what that sound is outside, but it's annoying. Bingo bango.